Meet me. Alright, welcome back, boys. So, with the collab coming back, inevitably you guys are asking me what you should pull for. So, here's another episode of Should You Pull ReZero Collaboration Edition? And the answer is yes. So, thanks for watching. Till next time, boys. Peace out. I'm just kidding. Alright, we'll talk about it. So, Ram, we don't have to talk about because she's a free hero. Everyone will get her. She's alright. You can use Banshee, or you can do Banshee with her, but whatever. I mean, she's kind of not that important. She's probably good in a few Hall of Trials. I think the current one she's actually pretty good in. And I think you could actually use her in Expeditions, but all that content is easy and no one cares. So overall, not that important. In PvP, she's pretty trash. So really what it comes down to is Rem and Emilia. And if you guys dipped out on her last year, you definitely regretted it. So collaboration heroes in general aren't rerun very often. So if you miss it, you can expect not to have it for at least 6 months, oftentimes more. So I strongly recommend you get these heroes, all of them if you can, because they're all really good. The problem with these heroes is they're all really unique. There's really no analogs to them. So if you don't get them, you can't really use a different hero that kind of does what they do. So what it really comes down to me, is if you care about super competitive high-end RTA, I think the clear choice is Emilia. But the problem is Rem's still pretty decent in RTA. She's just more niche. But Emilia is a very meta unit. She's actually very good as a counter to some of the very popular other meta units like Pyrrha and Conqueror Lilius and stuff. Because if you build her with ER and the Soul Weaver speed buff, you can get her to around like 270, 280, maybe even 290 speed, and go right after those units, push something up, and then completely ruin their rotation. That's why she's so strong, because she's a Soul Weaver that can AoE cleanse, barrier, heal a little bit, while also having that like A-Lots potential. I mean, she's basically A-Lots, right? And a Soul Weaver glued together, except that the push is not 100%, but 50% push is more than enough on turn 1 to get pretty much anything to the front, as long as there isn't a Politis there. So she can be a very like aggro style Soul Weaver, very strong, very meta, very viable into a lot of drafts. So in terms of competitive RTA, I think she's the clear choice, but I don't want to make that sound like she's not good in other content, because she's also really good in other content. Guild Wars, she's also very meta. Emilia X, like usually the X is Luna or Opsig, something like that, is a very meta offense against things like Hwayoungs or anything with a barrier. Even APOC Ravi, you could delete them with like LQC or Hwayoung. So she's a super good in all content right now. There's not really much PvE content to do, but realistically, she's going to be pretty dominant in that as well. So Emilia, get her. Now, if you don't care about RTA at all, you can consider taking Rem. Rem is really good. I actually ran her, so back in the day, it was an SSB auto arena offense. I started switching to a Rem auto arena offense. It's pretty much the same idea. She's very good at just sleeping through arena when she just counters everything to death. The thing that makes her really unique is the demon mode, right? As soon as someone dies, basically she's permanently immune to all debuffs for 2 turns. And if you put her on counter, she's very slow. So that 2 turns feels like forever. So basically she's just sitting there RNGing people to death, countering, and pretty much everyone runs her on Sigurd's Scythe. So she just heals herself to full if she does the AoE counter. On top of that, her S1 has pretty much a guaranteed defense break with the Soul Burn, and yeah, it ignores effect resist when she has demon mode. So even on something like Ruel's, you can land a death break, and it's pretty devastating. And the S3 is actually not bad either. She has a self-attack buff, decrease hit chance, self-CR push, although the self-CR push sometimes works against her because it shortens the demon mode if you got it before you S3'd. But it's also a good, like, oh shit button. Like, if they got you low and then you proc demon form, you smash the S3 and you're immediately back to full health if you have Sigurd's Scythe. So yeah, a completely invulnerable built-in Elbrus unit, and you're always going to run her on counter. She's one of the most annoying RNG units in the game. There's going to be times when she just solos your entire team, or your Rem solos the entire enemy team. When the ReZero collab first came out and things like, her counters didn't exist back in the day, she was probably one of the most toxic units out there. Like, pretty much everyone just, like, violated her. If you didn't have Violet, you were just kind of hosed. She was just going to RNG you to death. You just kind of went on her in the beginning and hoped you killed her before anything else died. And sometimes people would even troll. Like, I used to run her with Politis, because my Politis is DPS Politis, just to let my Politis die to make sure that she gets demon mode as quickly as possible, because she would die to like one Belie encounter. And yeah, she's a lot of fun. So she's definitely a good hero, even viable today in RTA. Although she's a lot more niche, you can't just smash her into every draft like you did when she first came out. But she is still unbelievably strong, and in certain drafts, as like a 4 or a 5 pick, it can really screw the other guy over and force them to ban her. Because, again, if you have something squishy and you expect her to die and she'll be immune to debuffs, even like control comps really struggle with Rem. So ultimately, if I could really only have one, I honestly think I would go with Emilia, and I think most high-end RTAers would go with Emilia. But realistically, I think most competitive RTAers would say you really want both in your toolkit, because unfortunately RTA nowadays is just about having a big geared toolkit, because everything is rock, paper, scissors BS, because that's where Smilegate wanted to take the game. Again, I don't like that, but it is what it is, and I get it. That's probably the only way they could keep releasing new heroes without it getting stale, without introducing 1,000 new confusing mechanics. So as much as I don't like it, I get it from a game design philosophy, and yeah, both these heroes you're going to want to get. Let's go quickly over the artifacts. Oh, I could just go to this thing, I guess. Soul Weaver. So this is Emilia's artifact, Guardian Ice Crystals. It's really good, and you're probably going to want it. A lot of people run this on various Soul Weavers. It's just very good defensively. The heal is actually quite chunky. 20% is not a small heal, and honestly, if you can swing it, I'd say get more than one copy. But if you can't, just at least buy the one from the powder shop, run it at plus 15. I only have a plus 15 one. As much as I am a whale, I'm not so much anymore, and I don't really want to get more copies of this. But it is a very popular artifact. A lot of people run it. The biggest strength of it is the fact that you don't have to take a turn to heal, right? And I'm sure if you guys do RTA, many of you have lost matches where you thought you were going to give someone in 2 turns, but then this thing procced, kind of topped them off, and then you couldn't kill them. So, very good artifact. Highly recommend you pick this one up. This one is Rems artifact. This one is, you could skip it. I mean, it's not terrible. Some cleavers like it. If you do see it, a lot of times, you're going to see it on strays. Cleave strays, they'll run it with something like a no debuff DPS cleave, like Acid, Closet Charles or something. And you're going to notice the CR push is actually quite chunky, right? 24% is no joke. And the strays will just shoot up to the front, S3, annihilate your whole team. But I gotta say, that's really the only time I've seen it in RTA. I think there's a few other niche use cases for it, but I don't remember them because it's so rare. The most common one I've seen is definitely speed DPS strays on Comet on a DPS draft. So it does have its use, but realistically, you could just get away with not having it. It's really not that important. So yeah, I mean, if you can swing it, again, I'd say get a copy because it is kind of unique. There aren't many warrior artifacts that could do this, or there isn't one that could do this other than this. So I'd say take it. But if you can only pick one, I think, again, the Emilia artifact is the clear choice. So anyways, this video is already longer than I wanted it to be, so I hope that answered all your questions. I want to keep it under 10 minutes. If you have any other questions, leave it in the comment section below, and I hope that helped you decide which hero to go for. It's Emilia. So anyways, thanks for watching. Till next time, boys. Peace out.